He had no strength. Those were Randy Savage's exact words about one of the men he hated most. And he wasn't joking. Savage wasn't just intense on screen. His real-life hatred for certain wrestlers was brutal, personal, and decades long. This is the story of three men who crossed the Macho Man and paid the price. Randy Macho Man Savage was a legend. He was one of the greatest wrestlers to ever step into a ring. His match against Ricky the Dragon Steamboat at WrestleMania 3 is still called one of the best matches ever. They planned every move. Every second was perfect. That's how serious Savage was about his work. He was disciplined. He was focused. He gave everything to wrestling. But behind the brilliance, there was something darker. Savage was paranoid. He was protective, and he never forgot anything. If you crossed him, he would remember it forever. His darkest rivalries weren't made up for the cameras. They were painfully real, and they lasted for years. Three men learned this the hard way. Let's talk about them. Savage and Hulk Hogan started as allies. They called themselves the Mega Powers. They were the two biggest stars in wrestling. They teamed up, they won matches, fans loved them. But there was a problem. Savage's wife, Miss Elizabeth, was part of the act. She stood at ringside. She cheered them on, and that made Savage nervous. Savage married Elizabeth in 1984, years before anyone knew they were together. She was shy, she was quiet, and Savage was obsessed with protecting her. The wrestling world back then was wild. Wrestlers partied, they chased women, and Savage didn't trust any of them around Elizabeth. He set strict boundaries. No one was allowed to get too friendly with her, not even Hogan. The trouble started before WrestleMania 5 in 1989. During a match, Elizabeth got hurt. Hogan rushed over to check on her. He wanted to help, but Savage saw it differently. He thought Hogan was stepping on his toes. He was the champion. She was his wife. Hogan had no right. On screen, this became the storyline. Savage turned on Hogan. He attacked him with the championship belt. He accused Hogan of trying to steal Elizabeth. But here's the thing. Part of that anger was real. Behind the scenes, Savage was tired of living in Hogan's shadow. Hogan was the face of wrestling. Even when Savage held the title, Hogan got more attention. Savage felt disrespected. He felt like Hogan was always the #1 guy, and now Hogan was getting too close to Elizabeth. That pushed Savage over the edge. Then came the real betrayal. In the early 1990s, Hogan invited Elizabeth to Miami. He said it was innocent. He wanted her to spend time with his wife, Linda, and his kids. Just a friendly trip. But Elizabeth started acting differently. Hotel staff joked that they didn't know where to deliver her room service because she kept changing rooms. She was gaining independence. She was pulling away from Savage. And Savage blamed Hogan for all of it. In 1992, Savage and Elizabeth divorced. For Savage, this wasn't just the end of a marriage. It was the destruction of everything he had built. He had controlled every part of their life together. He had protected her from everyone. And now she was gone. And in his mind, it was Hogan's fault. Hogan admitted later that Savage blamed everything on him. Hogan said he didn't know Elizabeth was going to run wild on Savage. But by then, the damage was done. Savage and Hogan never made up. Not really. Even after years passed, the hatred stayed. In 2003, Savage released a rap album. The title track was called Be a Man. It was a diss track aimed straight at Hogan. Savage didn't hold back. He attacked Hogan's character. He attacked his reputation. He made sure everyone knew how much he hated him. This wasn't a wrestling angle. This was real. Even a decade after they stopped working together, Savage couldn't let it go. The wound never healed. Hogan broke Savage's trust. He broke his marriage. And Savage never forgave him. If Hogan broke Savage's heart, Vince McMahon tried to erase his legacy. The feud between Savage and McMahon was different. It wasn't about emotions. It was about business, about control, about money. And it ended with Savage being blacklisted from WWE for 17 years. In 1994, Savage reached a crossroads. He was still wrestling. He still had energy. He still wanted to compete. But McMahon had other plans. McMahon wanted Savage to retire from wrestling and become a full-time commentator. Savage refused. He didn't want to sit at a desk and talk. He wanted to perform. His last major match was against Crush at WrestleMania X in March 1994. By September, he wrestled his final WWE match in Germany. When his contract ended in October, he left the company. At first, McMahon seemed sad to see him go. He gave Savage a heartfelt goodbye on Monday Night Raw. That was unusual. Most wrestlers who left for rival companies didn't get that treatment. It showed that McMahon had real affection for Savage. But that affection wouldn't last. Savage signed with World Championship Wrestling. That alone was bad enough. WCW was WWE's biggest rival. But Savage did something worse. He took the Slim Jim endorsement deal with him. Slim Jim was a multi-million-dollar sponsor, and WWE desperately needed that money. The company was losing tens of millions of dollars every year. Losing Slim Jim was a huge financial blow. McMahon tried to replace Savage in the commercials, but Slim Jim refused. They wanted Savage, only Savage. So the deal went with him to WCW. McMahon never forgave him. Over the years, McMahon welcomed back other wrestlers who had betrayed him. Hulk Hogan returned. Scott Hall returned. Kevin Nash returned. returned. Steve Austin returned. Even Brock Lesnar returned. All of them had caused McMahon problems, but they all got second chances. Savage didn't. From 1994 until his death in 2011, Savage was completely shut out. He was erased from WWE history. His name wasn't mentioned. His matches weren't shown. It was like he never existed. Why? The official reason was the Slim Jim deal, but many people in wrestling believed there was something more. A rumor spread through the locker rooms. The rumor was that Savage had an inappropriate relationship with Stephanie McMahon, Vince's daughter. Stephanie was born in 1976. She turned 18 in September 1994. Savage left WWE in November 1994. The timeline made the rumor plausible, but no one ever confirmed it. No proof ever surfaced. It remained just a rumor. But true or not, that rumor gave McMahon a reason to keep Savage banned. It wasn't just business anymore. It was personal. It was about family. McMahon is known for holding grudges, and this one lasted until Savage died. Even then, it took years before WWE fully honored Savage's legacy. The feud between Savage and McMahon was a dual betrayal. First, Savage took the money during a crisis. Second, the family rumor gave McMahon the personal justification he needed to keep Savage out forever. That's why this feud ranks as one of the deepest. It cost Savage his place in wrestling history for nearly 2 decades. The feud between Savage and Road Warrior Hawk was different from the others. It wasn't about love, it wasn't about business, it was about respect, and it ended in violence. The trouble started at a dinner in Tampa. Savage allegedly made a comment to Hawk's wife, Dale. He supposedly said, "Hey, how'd you like for me to take you under the table and show you what a real man's like?" Dale didn't tell Hawk right away. She kept it secret for about 2 years, but eventually Hawk found out. And when he did, he was furious. He reportedly said, "I'll kill that man next time I see him." That next time came in July 1996. It was at a joint WCW and New Japan show in Sapporo, Japan. Savage was about to walk through the curtain for his match. His entrance music was playing, and that's when Hawk attacked him. Hawk confronted Savage right there backstage. Savage's manager, Sonny Onu, had to step between them. They were face to face, ready to fight. The stories about what happened next are conflicting. Hawk claimed he knocked Savage down with one slap. He said Savage got destroyed, but Savage's brother, Lanny Poffo, told a different story. He said Savage took the punch and kept walking because he had a job to do. After his match, Savage tried to go after Hawk, but other wrestlers broke it up. Either way, both men walked away angry, and Savage never forgot. 3 years later, Savage got his revenge. On November 6, 1999, Savage and Hawk ran into each other at a Kid Rock concert in Tampa. The Sun Dome Arena was packed. According to reports, Hawk extended his hand. Maybe he wanted to make peace. Maybe he was just being polite, but Savage didn't care. He batted Hawk's hand away and punched him hard. Hawk went down. Some say he was knocked out, but the fight didn't stop there. Savage's girlfriend at the time, Gorgeous George, got involved. So did another woman. They attacked Hawk's wife, Dale. Reports say they left Dale badly injured. They cut her open. They tore out chunks of her hair. It was brutal. It was public, and it crossed a line. Gorgeous George later confirmed that she and Savage fought Hawk that night. She didn't deny it. The consequences were immediate. Hawk considered filing a lawsuit. Lanny Poffo confirmed that the fight led to litigation. He also said that Dale suffered permanent damage from the attack. This wasn't just a backstage scuffle between wrestlers. This was a full-scale brawl involving wives and girlfriends. It was violent, it was messy, and it showed just how far Savage was willing to go when he felt disrespected. The feud with Hawk stands out because it was the only one that resulted in documented physical violence and legal action. Savage didn't just hate Hawk, he made sure Hawk paid the price. So what connects all 3 feuds? Control. Savage hated losing control. With Hogan, he lost control of his wife and his career. Hogan overshadowed him. Hogan helped Elizabeth gain independence, and Savage couldn't handle it. With McMahon, he lost control of his in-ring career. McMahon tried to push him into commentary, so Savage took the Slim Jim deal and left. He refused to let McMahon dictate his future. With Hawk, he lost control of respect. Hawk disrespected him, Hawk disrespected Dale, and Savage retaliated with violence. Each feud wasn't just personal, it was nuclear. Savage didn't do anything halfway. When he loved hard. When he hated forever. His feuds with Hogan, McMahon, and Hawk weren't storylines. They were real. They had real consequences. Hogan lost a friend, McMahon lost a star and a sponsor. Hawk and his wife got hurt, and Savage paid the price too. He spent his final years shut out from WWE. He spent years angry at Hogan. He spent years fighting battles that never really ended. Randy Savage was one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. His legacy is legendary, but his real-life feuds show the darker side of that intensity. He lived and fought like every moment was real, because for him it was. Even in death, these rivalries remain part of his story. They remind us that the Macho Man wasn't wasn't just a character. He was a man who loved hard, protected fiercely, and never ever forgave. If you want more stories from the wildest corners of wrestling, hit that like and subscribe.